you ready for an entertainment experience of a lifetime? Knockdown, drag-out, hard-hitting conversations, debates, and interviews. Well, if you said yes to any of these questions, sit back, relax, and enjoy something like no other. This is the Isolation Series podcast, presented by wellbeingsperformance.com for all your online meeting needs, and by imprintpilates.com Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area's premier Pilates studio, also specializing in rehabilitation and athletic conditioning, and finally by greenstorage.ca Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area's #1 self-storage facility. Here now is your host, Spencer Miller.
Hey guys, and welcome to this primetime edition of the Isolation Series with me, Spencer Miller. Very pleased to be joined by my guest tonight. She is an entrepreneur, co-host of Beauty and the Beast podcast herself, and member of the adult entertainment industry, amongst about 17 other things. And of course, I'm talking about the one and only Kendra Lust. Kendra, welcome to the Isolation Series for the very first time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm glad we got it worked out. I know I messed up the first date, and oh boy, it's June was busy, and now I feel like July is going to be even busier. So it's good. I'm really not complaining. So busy is good. It's just you feel like sometimes you can't be everything to everyone. So
yes, well, here we are now, and we're finally getting it done.
yeah.
And let's start with this. You made reference to it that you're busy, and you've been busy over June and heading into July now. This pandemic has really taken its toll on everybody in different ways, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to ask you first and foremost how it affected you and your business and all your ventures throughout this pandemic, and when did you start to see the turnaround that you are currently experiencing right now?
Well, for me, I was fortunate enough, and I almost felt guilty, because a lot of the work that I can do is from home, and I know a lot of people don't have that option. So there was a part of me that felt really guilty because I know there were so many people losing work and off, being laid off, losing businesses. So I was fortunate enough where it was the opposite for me. I saw an increase in revenue. Maybe people had more time on their hands, whatever. And, it really allowed me to start the Beauty and the Beast podcast, which we're now, revamping we finally figured it out. It's been almost a year, maybe not that long, but, our audience and our demographic and how we are going to structure it. So I'm excited. I'm putting more effort into it now. I have built a little studio. So I don't really know when things turned around, but for me, I just think it's just kind of been on an upward
Trajectory.
Trajectory, good word. So I've been grateful for that. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that you're a big sports fan, and for those of us who don't know, you are a big sports fan. What really got you started in your love of sports in general? Because you talk about it a lot, whether it's basketball or MMA or whatever the case may be. There's no denying your love for sports, as I have a love for sports myself.
I really started enjoying sports from a young age. My dad was a big, big sports fan. He loved football. He played hockey. He was all over the place. And I think part of that was because he was a gambler, and that was not always a good thing. I can remember as a child writing, he would have these things, they were like football tickets, and then you'd circle names. Okay, this is not a thing that I encourage parents to do with their children. However, he would say, okay, pick 6 teams or pick 10 teams. And I remember reading like, what's BYU? And, okay, that one sounds good, so he'd always want us to pick winners, and I don't know if we did or not, but Yeah, so I was, and I was a tomboy from a young age. I loved to play sports. I think naturally I had like some athleticism from my parents. Both parents played sports. So I think it's just kind of always been a part of our household and who I was. So I always like to be active and, doing stuff, getting into stuff.
Okay,
So,
so today then, what would
mhm,
you say are your top two sports and who are your top two teams? If you had to
mhm.
pick a couple of teams today, who would they be?
Ooh, good question. That one I'm gonna have to think about. I mean, growing up, I loved basketball and it was always like football Sundays. Like that's just what we did. We hung out and watched football. Um, and I guess as I, went through high school and college, it was always basketball. Now I mean, I would say it's more mixed martial arts, 100%. I love boxing and I love MMA. But when I really watched more team sports because they're more individual, um, it would have to be, I mean, I love the bad boys. How could you not like Isaiah Thomas? Although I learned he's not like the nicest to fans, which I don't really like. However, the Pistons, I love Michael Jordan. As time went on, Kobe was, I think, in my opinion, the closest thing to Michael Jordan that there ever will be. Rest his soul. So yeah, so those are some of my teams.
Do
Yeah.
you agree that the NBA on NBC theme song from back in the day is the best sports theme song that there ever has been? Because it's been a highly contested topic of conversation with different guests here on the Isolation series. I mean, you got the NFL on Fox, great theme and everything like that, but you talk about the bad boys and about Michael Jordan and things like that. And at least for me, the John Tesh written theme for the NBA on NBC is one of the best theme songs for a sporting event of all time.
Well, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Gonna just have to agree. I mean, I can't disagree with that. So
Wonderful, wonderful. Uh, um, let's shift gears here. I want to talk to you about an industry that seems to be thriving more now because of the pandemic, and that is the adult entertainment industry. We've seen a boom in that specifically because people have had a lot more time on their hands for various different things, working from home, whatever the case may be. So, what do you think that this pandemic has done and will do for the adult entertainment industry moving forward from here?
the pandemic has really created an opportunity for performers, talent, anyone who does adult type of work to really generate their own income and dictate how much money they're going to make. It has also allowed them to connect with fans on a completely more personal level, which I think is really what not all fans. I mean, some fans just kind of want to go watch your thing, and just kind of be on with their day. However, the true supporters really want to kind of get to know their favorite, talent or their favorite guy or girl. So it's really allowed the performers to work from home, to bring out their own creativity, to have more autonomy in their industry, and to really, I guess, focus on their brand and the ability to brand themselves and not having to utilize the directors and producers for their income. It's really helped to diversify. I like to have multiple revenue streams, and it's kind of allowed us to do that from one place. So I'm grateful, and I think a lot of girls have taken advantage of the opportunity to do that.
Okay, now what would you say is the main reason you got into that particular industry in the first place? I mean, you you got into it at a later age than the typical person would. Well, other than potentially financially, what drew you to say to yourself, you know what? I've done this, and this. so far in my life and my career. Let me see how I can do in this area because of whatever it is.
I've always been, and I think I guess, I don't know. Uh, I guess I don't know that I'm more sexual than any one person. I just feel that I've always just had like maybe an aura about me that I'm just I don't know. I guess maybe I am. I mean I feel pretty confident. I'm just I guess maybe I am more sexual. I don't know. I can't answer that because that wasn't the one reason or the only reason I went into the industry. I was a nurse, went to college. I mean, I pretty much did everything that my parents would want me to do. I mean, I never went to jail. I never got into drugs. Um, I mean, I drank here and there. We all experiment, but I never was like, never arrested. Was homecoming queen. I mean, honor roll student. I graduated with honors as a nurse. And I just kind of did what I thought I was supposed to do. And, I think that's what a lot of people do throughout their life. They want to please their parents, right? They are very influential in their lives and you want to do what's right. And, you want to live a good life. So, college, you think college, and it's not, I don't believe it's for everyone, but that's kind of the path that I chose. So before though, I guess let's take a step back. Throughout the beginning of college, my parents went through some turmoil and my dad was kind of in and he was kind of out of my life after around 19. So I danced to help pay for college and because my mom couldn't do it on her own. So that was not easy. However, I was probably the only girl there who didn't drink because I was so focused. Okay, I have to do like this, and this, and I have class in the morning. So I have to stay, aware of what's going on. And, I have things to do the next day. So it would be like cranberry juice or water. And I work, and most girls, a lot of times they have to do it, they have to drink. And I'm not knocking anyone. I was just kind of focused on my end goal. I needed to make money because I had to pay for classes. I had to pay for books. So, so I did that. And then I guess the thing, I was working as a nurse and there was some family things that had happened. And I don't talk too much about it, but my sister was struggling financially and there was some domestic things that had happened in her life. It just wasn't good. So I had to, well, I didn't have to do anything. I just felt that it was important for me to help my sister and help my family. My mom kind of went through some things after my parents divorced. And there was just, I felt a lot of things that I could, and I'm a fixer, maybe that's why I went into nursing, a lot of things that I felt I wanted to do because for me, I don't do well in my life even if I've earned it and I've done everything the way I'm supposed to do it, if I'm successful or if I'm financially feeling comfortable, if someone I love is struggling, I have a hard time watching that. So I want to help, I want to fix. So, so that's kind of what I did. So I felt I could work as a webcam person or a model and no one would know. Right. So, and they didn't, and I had fun with it. I was like, oh, I can make a lot of money and this is fun. And I enjoyed it. And then someone had said, well, maybe you should get into, like do porn or adult film. And I'm like thinking like, how the hell, like I just had DVDs, like I didn't know anything about it or how to get into it. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, if there's more money in a shorter amount of time, maybe I'll do it. As long as no one would find out, because I just, I didn't want all of that out there. I didn't realize the internet was so vast. Okay. It was huge. Okay. Even at that time. So I got the courage to do it, go out there, not know anyone, stay in the wrong part of town. I mean, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Oh my God, I don't even think I ever told a story. When I went to get tested, I thought every single time that I had to go, I had to do like a normal exam. I'm like, God, this is brutal. I have to like undress and like do the whole, because I didn't know. No, you just like pee in a tube and they can check for these things to make sure you're clear. But the first person was like, sure, okay, we're going to do this. Anyway, you learn a lot of mistakes. So anyway, so I was able to help my family and help my mom through her medical stuff. And I don't regret the decision I made. I don't care really what people think or what they have to say. It's not their life. And at the end of the day, I'm really happy that, I've helped people I care about along the way. And to me, that's all that matters.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the program with me, is because much like me, you don't
Mhm.
let it define you. Yes, you are very appreciative of your fans, which you've already talked about, and
Yeah.
things like that. But the adult entertainment industry does not define you as an individual by any stretch of the imagination, which
Right.
is very similar for me, because people still in 2021 look at me a large part of the time and define me just based on the fact that I'm in my wheelchair. And I have to say, listen, guys, you can think whatever it is that you want to think, but that's not the case whatsoever. So I know they're different, but at the same time, they're kind of the same.
Yeah, no, I like the analogy. We're not defined by the color of our skin. We're not defined by what we choose to do. Um, Essentially, our socioeconomic status. Um, None of your, like you said, a disability. I actually have, and I'll get back to and what we do doesn't define who we are. I mean, if you're a doctor and you go to work, you're a doctor. I mean, I guess you're kind of always a doctor because, on the plane, if they need somebody, if there's a doc, so you're a doctor. But I mean, you don't just walk around. You're a dad, you're a brother, you're a, whatever, a board member, you're, whatever the hell you want to be. Sometimes, hey, you might even be an asshole, but you can be a lot of things. But you're right. What you do does not define who you are. And I just recently started to invest a little bit more into my, business, I guess, as far as the way I structure things and time management and things like that. And it's essentially, it evaluates your personality type and how to be a better business person. So he's not like a life coach, but he's kind of like a business coach. And he is in a wheelchair. And he said he went from paralyzed to prosperous. He's still in a wheelchair. 17 years ago, he was involved in a shooting, and he's just so inspirational. So he wears a hat that'll say, like, what's your wheelchair? Like, essentially, like, what's your excuse? Like,
Yeah.
whatever, I'm living my life to the fullest.
The,
So
the best, and we've talked about this on the show before multiple times, is I get people on a weekly, if not bi-weekly basis, who still come up to me and they're like, hi, how are you? Can I, and I'm just like, are you,
hello,
are you dumb? Like,
I'm not cognitively impaired. I'm not, deaf. Hello, I just, can't
yes,
use my
yeah,
legs here.
yeah. However, I will say that in my multiple surgery experiences and things like that, if I had you as a nurse, as opposed to 90% of the nurses that I have had over the years, it may have been a little bit more enjoyable over the time, but that's neither here nor there. Having said that, you just touched on it a little bit about changing the structure of your business and things like that. I want to ask you now, okay? People know you from the podcast. They obviously know you as an adult entertainer and a director sometimes as well, and things like that. And you have your production company and stuff like that. But as we sit here taping this podcast tonight, coming out of this pandemic over the next 5 years, what do you, Kendra, want to achieve for yourself in the next 5 years that you can look back, not for anybody else other than Kendra and your immediate family, whether it be your husband or your daughter or whatever the case, and say, fuck, I accomplished everything that I wanted to accomplish in these 5 years, and I'm satisfied with that.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever be satisfied. I don't want to say I'm the type of person where it's all about more, because I feel like that is a really bad mentality to have. I feel like life's about balance. However, if we don't set goals or we don't have dreams, those types of things, then how do we really know, like, where's our direction? So I feel like you have to like set goals and have something to work towards. Right now, I I I'm actually getting into the marijuana. Okay, so that industry. So I really believe, I don't smoke, and I like, it's legal, it's great. However, there is, um, I believe in traditional medicine. However, I also believe in, uh, I guess, herbal medicine. I mean, there's all
Oh,
types of different things. So I do believe, I worked as a nurse, and it did have definitely medicinal effects, I guess, or positive effects on a lot of the cancer patients. And um, I think that's incredible. So I would love to be a part of that. I'm actually, that's in progress. So that would be cool to just have something like that. Um, I would love to do more in as far as MMA and boxing goes, maybe hosting more events, be a little bit more involved. I would love the opportunity to, I don't know, who knows, maybe manage a fighter and get involved in that world. I love it. So for me, I want to become a little bit more assertive in my business practices and stop being so yes, 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 nice, nice, nice. Nice is great. And I don't want it to change who I am, but when it comes to business, you have to be fierce. And I'm not fierce. So I want to get there. So
now that you have me in your friend circle, I can help you out achieve more fierceness in that department too.
I
Um,
appreciate
but
it.
but I'll get you out of here on these last couple of things.
Oh, it's okay.
Uh,
You're okay.
okay, we talk about boxing and
Yeah.
we talk about MMA. I would be absolutely stupid if I did not get your opinion on a couple of things.
Yes.
Okay, first and foremost, I want to get your thoughts on both Logan and Jake Paul. They are some of the most polarizing boxers to come along in a long, long time. And credit to them from going to you from going from YouTube to making their brand into what it is right now. But by the same token, you listen to people like Daniel Cormier, Dana White, Oscar De La Hoya, to a certain respect when he's not on coke, and things like that. And most of the people that have been in the fight game for a long, long time, whether it be MMA or boxing, find it to be a joke. And we saw just a couple of weeks ago Logan Paul take on Floyd Money Mayweather,
Yes.
and that was, for lack of a better term, a snooze fest, as most Mayweather fights have come to be in the last few years. And that right there is a guy that shouldn't have to work anymore because he technically has made so much money that he shouldn't be taking these fights and being a shell of himself, but still winning. But because he is such a gambler and has so many negative people around him, he goes through those purses of money that he gets faster than anybody I have ever seen. So, all that being said, is do you think Logan and Jake are bad for the traditional boxing and MMA fan?
I like your segue into talking about me. I'll take it you're not a Mayweather fan, and that's okay.
Uh, I am a Mayweather fan. I am not a Mayweather fan in terms of the fact that he's made a shit ton of money. Like if you look at his net worth, it is astronomical. But at any given time, the guy seemingly has $40 to rub together after a fight, like 2 months later. And I'm not knocking anybody's like lifestyles and things like that, but we see it way too often. We saw it in the heyday of Iron Mike Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson was ferocious, but he became so broke because of the same reasons.
Don King, that's
Yeah.
why.
Yes.
Don King he was the absolute fall. You surround yourself with toxic people, you become toxic, or you become, you are what you surround yourself with. So I agree. And I don't know that, I don't want to speak bad about Mayweather. I don't know that enough about him. I just know he, he oh gosh, I don't want to say anything negative, but I don't think he gives back a lot to the community,
He does not. Nobody loves Mayweather more than Money Mayweather loves himself.
Right?
And that's not saying. Look, I'm not saying anything necessarily shockingly negative about Mayweather. I don't.
No.
I don't know him as an individual, but
Yeah.
I just know from being in that world for a while now myself. I'm like, how stupid do you have to be to get rid of, or not get rid of, go through that much money?
Yeah, it's insane. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But getting back to your initial question, and sorry, we kind of bird walked a little bit.
Yes.
So I initially could not stand Logan and Jake. I'm like, these guys are so irritating. Now I know Jake's trainer. We've kind of become acquainted. His name's Benjamin Flores. Really nice guy. And it was funny. I told him, I'm like, I did not like your client. Like Jake, I was like, he's an asshole. Like he annoyed me. I did not like him. And the problem is I was essentially drawn into his persona. See, I was guilty of doing what a lot of people do. He has a persona. He is so marketable. I mean, he markets himself, him and his brother, they're genius. Okay. And at first I thought, oh, it's an insult to, for them to be doing this. It's an insult to the sport, blah, blah, blah. However, at the end of the day, they're Jake is training, and I think he's better than Logan. However, they're a source of entertainment. Sports are entertainment. Granted, they would probably get their asses kicked by a lot of these, these fighters and these boxers. However, people are, Triller had them. Now Showtime has them, so I guess it's it's the cool thing to do right now. So I don't know if it's a phase or how long it'll last. However, I do think that Jake is a positive voice within the MMA community because he's getting people to listen, and he's talking about fighter pay, and he just donated money to an up and comer, which I think was very, very, very admirable. He didn't have to do that.
No.
So if you read through some of his tweets, he donated like $5,000. And at that time, I think she had only like his 5 made 8,000 and her goal was 34. And last I checked, she was up to 31,000 within the day. Yeah. So, if anything, you can like them or hate them, but people are watching.
Right. Sticking with boxing, I want to get your thoughts quickly on something that was perplexing and is perplexing to a lot of people, including myself. And I want to get your thoughts on it as well. And that is 48-year-old aforementioned Oscar De La Hoya coming out of retirement to take on one of MMA's best in recent memory in a boxing match, in an exhibition. And of course, I'm talking about Vitor Belfort. We talk about Mayweather and things like that. On the other flip side of the coin, you have Oscar De La Hoya, who's had a great promotion in terms of Golden Boy promotions and different things like that. And yet he wants to come out of retirement at 49 years of age to fight Vitor Belfort. I just don't understand it. What are your thoughts?
I don't know if it's some of these guys just can't I don't know if it's the money. I don't know if it's being part of the limelight again. I don't know if it's a tool to maybe help some of their up and coming fighters or a business move. Um, I don't know. I mean, I knew why, Mayweather did it for the money. And Anderson Silva recently won against um
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Chavez Jr., I believe.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, and he just retired not too long ago as well. So I don't know if it's like the love of it, but I think De La Hoya has been out for a while. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know the thinking, the reasoning why. I don't know. They just maybe easy money because they know, exhibition. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one.
But you would think with having a successful promotion for all these years since he's been out of the fight game in the ring, at least,
Yeah.
that, he would have enough sense within himself to say, I don't need to get punched in the face again. I've built this good company and things like that. It's kind of similar to you in terms of the fact that you are a great entrepreneur. You have so many irons in the fire. You got your podcast, you got tons of different things that you're working on. If you never, ever again wanted to do anything in the adult entertainment industry, it wouldn't financially define you either because you have so many other things because you're smart.
Well, we're all a work in progress. My big thing I don't even really talk about is real estate, just because um I talked to people earlier on in my career and said that's what you need to do. So I have a few properties, which is great. So, there's but we're all growing, we're all learning, and who knows? I mean, who knows what people do with their money? You don't, and you think, too, over the years, as people get older too, you said he's 49, getting hit in the head, it's not healthy. It's not good. I wouldn't want to have to take that type of beating, right? I mean, look at what happened to Muhammad Ali, God rest his soul. I mean, it's just sometimes people don't know when to quit. But maybe he wants to see if he still has it. Maybe it's his last hurrah. I don't know.
Okay. So the $1,000,000 question then becomes this. Okay.
Ready.
Next Saturday, July
Woo!
10th, 2021, UFC 264, the first fight back at T-Mobile Arena in 15 months, pits Conor the Notorious One McGregor against Dustin the Diamond Poirier for a third time. And Kendra, you can cut the anticipation with a knife. And let me just say this to you. There is no denying that Conor McGregor can sell a fight or a product to anybody, much like Chael Sonnen did during his run-ins with Anderson Silva all those years ago and different things like that. No question about it. But because he fought Mayweather a couple of years ago and made all that money and different things like that, he has not been active in the MMA octagon on a fairly consistent basis. And we've seen that come to light in his last couple of fights, including the last one that he did, which was the second fight versus Dustin. So my question to you is this. Come next Saturday, when that octagon closes and when that gate closes on the octagon on either side, are you expecting to see the Conor McGregor that built him up to go up against Jose Aldo a few years ago? Or are we still expecting to see a Conor McGregor that really hasn't dedicated himself as of late to the craft of mixed martial arts? And Dustin Poirier may take advantage of that once again.
That's a fantastic question. And it's a couple parts. So initially, I thought McGregor had lost a step. And I said, I think he's going to win the trilogy. I think, because the way he fought McGregor back in January, I felt he had evolved as a fighter. He's the best we'd ever seen him. However, if you look back, the history of McGregor, granted, he is one of the least active fighters in the how many years, right? Okay. He's not an old man by any means. If this win is so important for a couple reasons. He has to win because right now everybody is talking about him. Critics are giving him crap that he's more about the money than, the entertainer and not the fighter that he once was. So he really needs to shut the critics up. 2, Conor's history. He has never lost a rematch. Never. 3rd, if he wins this fight against Dustin, it will secure a title shot against Oliveira. He could win and retire. Still, you're kind of going out winning, which is great. But how cool would it be? I don't know. I don't know if he even wants to go against Oliveira. But whoever wins this fight, that's their title shot against Charles Oliveira.
Right. And you mentioned it, that the critics are on him, and a lot of pundits are on him right now because of what we were just talking about. So if you look at it from the flip side of that, if Dustin wins the trilogy fight next week,
yes,
does the shine finally come off of Conor McGregor in terms of his theatrics and his like WWE like persona and things like that? Because I have felt like a lot of dedicated MMA fans have really started to wane as far as staying behind him and wanting to support him based on what we have already talked about. But do you believe that if he does in fact lose next Saturday, that that'll be the final straw for many people to say, you know what, Conor, you did some great things for the sport. You were able to sell it and add some theatrics to it when the sport really needed it, but go away now.
I don't think that true Conor fans will ever really say that. I think maybe people who are on the fence will think not less of him, but will kind of maybe not put him up there as, one of the, the best. I don't know. He's not in the top 5 pound for pound rankings. It's John Jones. It's George St. Pierre. I mean, we could go on. So I don't know. I mean, he'll probably lose some fans and they might not take him as, as seriously. I don't know. I don't see Conor as the type of person to go out with a loss. So I don't know. I don't know. He will have to redeem himself somehow. He has so much money. He doesn't really need to continue fighting. However, I still think that there's some fight left in him. So I guess I don't have a good answer for you. I wish I could elaborate more on that, but to me, it's a must win. He has to win.
Are you almost as excited for a trilogy fight to take place between Amanda Nunes and Jacek? Because there's been a lot of talk recently about that as well. We know that both of their first 2 fights were extremely close, and the second one specifically could have gone either way. Are you on board to see a third fight between those 2 as well?
I think that would be great. Amanda Nunes, in my opinion, is the greatest of all female fighters. I mean, she knocked out Cyborg, who to me was just like on a pedestal. And I still think she's one of the best ever to do it, because it takes one punch, to get caught. That's it. It just, that's it. No matter how great you are, it's just one punch. So I never, it's so hard for me to bet on people. I'm usually really bad at that. But I mean, that would be great to see. It would be great to see. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Are you going to get an opportunity to watch the McGregor-Poirier fight next weekend?
I am. I was invited. 2 tickets in my lap. However, I will be traveling the following day. It didn't coordinate as I wanted or as I had planned, family obligations, but that's okay. I'm going to be watching from the best seat in the house, my house.
That is absolutely great. Okay, and where can people go to find you and everything that is Team Kendra? Not just one aspect, but if they want to support you in your other ventures as well and help you get to your goal of getting involved in the cannabis company, which you said is in the works, where can people go to help?
Well, that's a little bit more on a private scale, which is okay. All regulated and licensed and insured. I'm doing everything the way I'm supposed to because, hey, we work too hard not to do it the right way. But, I would love for everyone to just tune into Beauty and the Beast podcast. We're kind of changing the tune a little bit, which is a good thing. We're taking a new direction and talking to people, people who are successful in all walks of life, but more so adult, sexy, sports, that type of thing, and their journey to success, and kind of get to know them on a personal level after we dive into their history and their story. But Beauty and the Beast podcast, KendraLust.com, onlyfans.com/KendraLust, and Twitter, Kendra Lust, blah, blah, blah. Kendra Lust. That's it.
Wonderful. Stay right there. But I do have to say, we have had a lot of different people on this podcast, but you can take this to the bank and say that I'm proud to not only have you on the podcast, but now call you a friend. And I look forward to having you on again in the not too distant future as well.
That would be great, Spencer. Well, I look forward to it when I meet you, giving you a big old hug, because I'm a hugger, and some people, they don't like that. So I always ask, you mind? Because I'm just a hugger. I don't know.
That's all right. I'm sitting down regardless, so I'm always ready for a hug.
I'll take it.
But we definitely appreciate it. And that is the one and only Kendra Lust right here on tonight's edition of the Isolation Series with me, Spencer Miller, and my technical producer and partner in crime, Paul Shields. And as always, this show has been brought to you by wellbeingsperformance.com for all your virtual meeting and virtual meetings, period. Please go to wellbeingsperformance.com as well as imprintpilates.com, Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area's premier Pilates studio, also specializing in athletic conditioning and rehabilitation. And finally, by greenstorage.ca, Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area's #1 self-storage facility. For more information, please go to greenstorage.ca. But for Paul and Kendra, I'm the better looking one out of the three of us, Spence. And this has been another edition of the Isolation Series. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks as always for listening, folks. Don't forget, if you want more of the Isolation Series, be sure to go to theisolationseries.podbean.com. There you'll find audio-only versions of the podcast, and we're in the process of uploading all of our great interviews. So check us out at theisolationseries.podbean.com. And hey, don't forget to follow us on Instagram. It's at @TheSpencerMiller and at Pauly Shields, Pauly spelled Pawly. So find us on podbean.com, follow us on Instagram. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See y'all again very soon on the Isolation Series.